Good evening, Rams, and welcome to the fifth and final CTV show of the semester.
All semester long, we've brought you the biggest news in the world of shows, comics, movies, books, collectibles, esports, and more. And tonight is no different.
In just a moment, we will share with you some of the biggest nerd news, including some standard Marvel and DC Cinematic Universe updates, reviews for new Netflix adaptations, a whole slate of Spider-Man news, and a quick look into CSU students' sci-fi novels, and more.
And if that isn't enough, we'll break down the newest Spider-Man No Way Home trailer so you'll know a little bit about what to expect when you go see the film in just over a week. Then we'll swing on over to another pop culture locale in Fort Collins.
All this on top of an interview with an up-and-coming actor in a new hit movie, which starts right now.
First on the list, we need to talk about No Way Home. Ticket sales from the highly anticipated Spider-Man film have shattered records both before and during the pandemic. When tickets went on sale on November 29th, ticket selling sites crashed because they could not keep up with the demand. Thousands of showtimes sold out within minutes, which eventually resulted in first-day No Way Home sales surpassing the biggest pre-pandemic movies. This includes Avengers Infinity War, Spider-Man Far From Home, and Star Wars Rise of Skywalker. Demand for movie tickets has webbed and flowed in the last 2 years, but this movie is definitely the prime opportunity for theaters across the nation and the world to swing back into action.
The brand new HBO Max series Peacemaker, featuring John Cena as the titular character, just dropped its full-length trailer last Friday. The action-packed look at the 8-episode series depicts the former wrestler turned actor as the DC anti-hero Peacemaker, whose ultimate goal is to bring peace to his country, no matter how many people he must hurt to get it. The series comes off of the tales of Suicide Squad, the updated version of the anti-hero team who fights evil to reduce their prison sentence. Cena's character was a member of the team, and we can't wait to see him in this role.
Universal Studios released a 5-minute preview of the next installment of the Jurassic World series. The third film will be titled Jurassic World Dominion, and we'll see the return of Chris Pratt as dinosaur trainer Owen Grady and Bryce Dallas Howard as Claire Deering, the founder of the Dinosaur Protection Group. The sneak peek shows us the first 5 minutes of the film, which will hit theaters on June 10th, 2022.
The title for the sequel to MCU's Black Panther film was recently released to be Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. However, some fans are starting to believe that it may be Wakanda Never, as production was delayed due to the pandemic, which was anticipated by the masses. Later, though, actress Letitia Wright, who portrays Shuri, the teenage genius and sister to T'Challa, declared that she is opposed to the COVID-19 vaccines and will not get vaccinated despite the shot being a requirement on all Marvel film and television sets. However, production grinded to a complete halt when it was first reported that Letitia Wright suffered a severe injury on set that prevented her from filming any further. Little is known about the injury, but all of us at CTV Geeks hope she recovers safely.
Shifting gears to streaming services, Netflix has been producing original movies and shows seemingly non-stop in the last few years. Since their first Netflix original in 2013, House of Cards, Netflix has produced, created, or purchased over 1,500 original titles. Most recently, we saw an adaptation of the anime Cowboy Bebop, as well as the Arcane, an adaptation from the video game League of Legends. Reception for these shows could not be more different, with Bebop receiving abysmal ratings, while Arcane received stellar reviews from both League of Legends fans and Philistines alike. As a result, Arcane has received a Season 2 renewal, while Bebop's fate hangs in the balance.
Yesterday, Warner Brothers released a promotional behind-the-scenes photo of Dwayne Johnson's next blockbuster film, Black Adam. Johnson will portray the titular Black Adam, a DC anti-hero with powers similar to that of Shazam. Apparently, The Rock strongly disliked the costume, but then they removed the paddings. He said, quote, "When I put the suit on the second time, I felt, well, I am Black Adam," end quote. Black Adam hits theaters on July 29th in 2022.
We've covered a whole lot of nerd news, but we aren't quite finished yet. For now, let's take a quick break, and then Alex, me, will help us break down the most viewed trailer of the year.
So there you are, shuffling through a stack of resumes, and you come to mine. This is it. First impression. My way in. But, here's the thing. Can my resume show you how I truly stand out? Can one piece of paper really tell you my whole story? Like, that I was studying, going to night school while working 2 jobs just to help my parents pay for groceries. Or how anytime there was an opportunity, I was the first one to step up. Because I wasn't gonna let my life, my circumstances dictate who I was gonna become. And all of that determination, the commitment, the drive, that's me. And that's something you just can't put on paper. Look beyond the resume and discover new ways to develop great talent, like me.
Welcome back from the break, and welcome to the trailer breakdown for Spider-Man No Way Home.
There were so many Easter eggs, hidden details, and exciting cameos in the last official trailer before the film comes out in just 9 days. Being the nerd that I am, I took it upon myself to dissect the trailer for every detail that I could.
Let's see what you found in your investigation, Alex.
Sony and Marvel dropped the second trailer for Spider-Man No Way Home, and it is packed to the brim with references, some small and maybe misleading answers, and potential details that could lead to some major confirmations. So spoiler warning going forward, as these are the biggest moments broken down.
Hello, Peter. You're not Peter Parker.
The first big detail answers a question from the first No Way Home trailer. Why did Doc Ock recognize Tom Holland's Peter? It appears he only recognized the suit and the moves, and assumed Tobey's Spider-Man got an upgrade. This casual drop of stating his knowledge of another Spider-Man is the first really solid evidence from Sony and Marvel that they may bring them in after all.
They all die fighting Spider-Man. It's their fate. I'm sorry, kid.
Yeah, me too.
Don't.
Another question was answered right here, or at least it could be. Spider-Man was seen fighting Doctor Strange in the last trailer, but until now, we did not have a reason. Spider-Man appears to be trying to save the villains who are doomed to a death in a fight with Spider-Man. Now looking at the villains confirmed, Green Goblin, Doc Ock, and Electro were the only villains who actually died on screen in a fight with Spider-Man, so this absolutely could be a misdirect from Sony.
There has to be another way!
There isn't. They're a danger to our universe.
This part confirmed a lot of fan theories after noticing a red tint on Doc Ock's metal arms in the previous trailer and promo shots. He appears to actually absorb the Iron Spider suit's nanites, showing them actually taking form on the arms, as well as the Iron Spider suit is missing a chunk of nanites, as it has to reallocate them to block this blow from Doc Ock.
You're not gonna take this away from me.
Alright, this short clip from the trailer I think was one of the most exciting parts for me. Seeing not only Jamie Foxx return as Electro, but his design is actually more comic accurate to the original 1960s design with the starfish mask. Seeing this ridiculous concept adapted in a more modern way to the character, where it appears as he charges up his electrical powers, is absolutely genius.
This is all my fault. I can't save everyone.
This money shot of the trailer is the first visual confirmation of 2 other villains in this movie. Rhys Ifans reprising his role as Kurt Connors, the Lizard from the 2012 Amazing Spider-Man, and Thomas Hayden Church reprising his role as Flint Marko the Sandman from the 2007 Spider-Man 3. They were confirmed to be reprising their roles mid-October in Empire Magazine, however seeing them physically in the trailer was a much different experience. Now there was actually a Brazilian version of the trailer that included this leaping scene, except it had one more second of footage where the Lizard appears to get punched by something edited out. The framing of the shot as well seems to show off two figures that could have been expunged, as Electro is aiming too high and the Lizard is aiming too low. I think there's a very high chance this is exactly who we think it is, but I think we'll just have to wait to find out. This scene pays homage to the Amazing Spider-Man 2, where Gwen falls to her death and Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man leaps to save her, as well as the first Spider-Man in 2002, where Tobey's Spider-Man jumps towards his MJ in the same fashion. Hopefully Tom Holland's Peter Parker has a better catch rate than Andrew Garfield's.
What's happening?
They're starting to come through, and I can't stop them.
Now, Marvel fans who have been keeping up on Disney Plus with all the new shows releasing may notice that similar effects were used in this ending shot of the trailer to Marvel's What If, an animated show that explored the multiverse further. Now, this animated shot shows the universe cracking open, and the mirror particles actually look exactly the same as Marvel's What If. This trailer has way more to unpack, but to avoid getting in too deep and ruining parts of the movie, I'm going to leave it at that. Back to you guys in the studio. Thanks, Alex. I cannot express how excited I am for this movie. I mean, seeing those shots of all the villains and the part with Electro with the starfish mask, I love when they can do the ridiculous 60s bright color stuff and make it like really cool.
Oh, absolutely. I am so excited for the comic accurate suits. And I'm just so excited for Doc Ock. He was one of my favorite characters, and I remember seeing the trailer for the first time and screaming and getting a noise complaint because I could not believe that he reprised his role.
And we're just getting so much Spider-Man content. I mean, the new trailer for Spider-Man Into the Spiderverse or Across the Spiderverse Part 1 just came out. And, you know, maybe we'll see him cross over in the new movie. You never know what's possible. It's just, what a time to be a Spider-Man fan.
Truly, we're getting all of the Spider-Man and Miles Morales. We're really winning.
Pop culture's favorite web-slinger is dominating the news cycle right now. The CTV Geeks aren't done talking about him and his stories, and neither is Marvel Studios. The first Spider-Man movie trilogy featuring Tom Holland concludes on December 17th. However, this trilogy will not be his last. On November 29th, the day tickets went on sale for No Way Home. Producer of all three Marvel Studios Spider-Man films, Amy Pascal, said that Marvel and Sony are going to continue their partnership. And that includes 3 more Spider-Man films. Tom Holland says he'll finish playing Spider-Man by the time he's about 30. That means we'll have about 5 more years with this version of Spidey. After that, who knows what's in store.
First reported in a newsletter from CSU's Warner College of Natural Resources, we have learned that Diego Tovar, a senior, published his young adult dystopian science fiction adventure titled The Ascendants at the end of September. Tovar sold 150 print and digital copies in the first month of the publication. Influenced by his aspirations to study global climate policy, The Ascendants is set in a world whose environment has been destroyed by a brutal civil war. Despite its dark themes, Tovar believes it is a story of hope and perseverance.
Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings is officially confirmed to have a sequel in the works. With destined Daniel Cretton confirmed to return as director, with all the critics beating down on Shang-Chi before its release, the cast has had plenty of fun poking jokes at the bad reviews, and this announcement is no different. Simu Liu tweeted out, "Flopped so hard, we got a sequel." This highly anticipated sequel is nowhere near a release date, but is predicted to be released early 2023.
The Ghostbusters are gracing our screens again in the revival film Ghostbusters Afterlife. Hit theaters just over a week ago. During opening weekend, the film brought an impressive $122.5 million. And the numbers have only gotten higher as the certified fresh movie remains in theaters. Director Jason Reitman signed to direct another untitled film for Universal Pictures, and we're thinking another Ghostbusters film may be in the works. Our guess is that Universal is probably thinking, we got one more!
We last saw the blind vigilante of Hell's Kitchen in October of 2018, when the Netflix original series Daredevil aired its climactic final 3rd season. Nerds mourned, men cried, women wept, economies crashed. It was devastating. Until just 3 days ago, head of Marvel Studios Kevin Feige gave us all hope again. In an interview with movie blog site Cinema Blend, Feige told us that should Daredevil appear in the canon Marvel Cinematic Universe, he would be portrayed by none other than Netflix actor who played him previously, Charlie Cox.
If you were to see Daredevil in upcoming things, Charlie Cox, yes, would be the actor playing Daredevil. Where we see that, how we see that, when we see that, remains to be seen.
So excited to see him again. This could mean a lot for the MCU, especially since last week's episode of Hawkeye introduced Echo, the niece of one of Daredevil's greatest adversaries, Kingpin. With Echo receiving her own series in 2022, who knows how Charlie Cox Daredevil could be introduced? We'll have to wait and see. Something that Daredevil can't quite do.
That's all the nerd news we have for you tonight. Up next, we will meet an actor featured in a blockbuster film, followed by a trip to another of Fort Collins' pop culture locations. Now, I'm not Natasha Romanoff, so I'll see you in a minute.
Living with someone you don't know on the other side of the wall is hard, especially if you don't know how to be a good roommate. The first thing that you'll want to do to be a good roommate is make sure that you always stay quiet. Be considerate of others when using common spaces and appliances.
Hey buddy, what you doing?
I'm just gonna need like 40 minutes. Be respectful of your roommate's privacy. Ugh, my bad. Finally, make sure that you clean up after yourself. Oh, a fresh toothbrush.
Have you seen my toothbrush?
Follow these tips to get along with your roommates and your landlord.
Told you I'd be back. Slade Monroe, an actor with one of the coolest names ever, was kind enough to meet with me and discuss his experience acting in the new 12 Mighty Orphans, featuring the likes of Luke Wilson and Robert Duvall. The movie is a true story about how 12 boys living in an orphanage became football legends.
12 Mighty Orphans is based off of a true story that happened in a place very close to my hometown, Fort Worth, Texas, and it is based in the 1930s. It is about a man named Rusty Russell who becomes a football coach for an orphanage during the Great Depression, and in their first season, they make it all the way to state.
Rusty Russell, I'm a new teacher.
Now, I know who you are, and I know what you can do with mediocre talent.
This was a film that had so many different stars at different levels of their careers. Like, for instance, Martin Sheen and Robert Duvall. I mean, they're elderly, but they've been through the ringer in Hollywood. They're some of the greatest actors of all time. And Luke Wilson, he's like midway through his career. And then there's guys like us that are just starting out and trying to find our ways.
Slade's character Weedy had many difficult scenes throughout the course of the film.
The hardest scene that I had to do was the scene where we all learned the new offensive play formation, which is called the wing T. During that day of shooting, we started shooting at about 8 p.m. and we ended shooting at about 12 p.m. I think it was 34 degrees, but felt like 24 degrees because of the wind chill. And I was literally in a thong and a towel for 4 hours straight. That was undoubtedly the hardest scene.
12 Mighty Orphans was filmed on location in Fort Worth, Texas. However, the orphanage that the story was inspired by shut down several years ago. Instead, the cast and crew filmed in another children's home.
Everything that happened in the actual orphanage was at the Pythian home in Weatherford, Texas. And that's where you see the giant, grandiose castle that is the opening of the film. And there was a boy who was probably not even 3 years old that was dropped off at the Pythian home while we were shooting. And I got to meet him. And he was just the cutest kid on the planet. And so, yeah, it just kind of humbled me in a way. And so since this was such like a spectacular opportunity for me in my career and just in my personal life, I wanted to find a way to give back. So I used the showing of 12 Mighty Orphans at my hometown as kind of a platform to, raise some money and for the Pythian Home, because after COVID, they lost a lot of their sponsors, unfortunately, and so anything counted. And we raised just about $10,000 for them.
Now, I actually got to see this movie at the premiere, and let me tell you, it was pretty incredible to watch all of those stars on one screen. It was pretty awesome. I
haven't seen it yet, but I love Luke Wilson, and that just seemed like some powerful stuff. Like, that would just be incredible to watch. So that's going to the top of my list. Now, as your CTV Geeks family, we won't leave you for too long as we take a quick break. Stay tuned for a visit to a pinball haven in Old Town, Fort Collins.
Queen is just my everything. Right now, I wouldn't know where my life would be without her.
They say chivalry's dead. It's not. Terrence is a gentleman. He opens doors. His smile did it. His smile, his eyes, his knowledge. My landlord, he decided that he wanted me to move based on the fact that I was transgender. It takes me to a place of no hope. It takes me to a place of loneliness. It saddens me. When you discriminate against somebody in housing, where do these people go? Let's just respect people in everyday life for just being human.
Pinball Jones is a hotspot in Fort Collins for pinball enthusiasts far and wide, and each year they host the Fall Flip-Out Tournament. I took a trip to see the fun for myself, and it did not disappoint. While most people visit Old Town Fort Collins to view the shops and the scenery, these pinball players go underground for the annual Fall Flip-Out Tournament at Pinball Jones.
For the tournament, we got 40 people that showed up total. We had a lot of people come down from Denver, so that was really exciting. Tonight was a big one for us. We have one of the most unique hobbies, which is pinball. It's a very small community, but it's growing. We all love competing, we all love having fun, and we all love playing pinball, so it's just something that we connect over.
But for some players like Escher, pinball is more than just a hobby.
Well, I've been playing pinball for about 16 years, since I was 2 years old, and I always like playing the local tournaments. It's a lot of fun. The biggest tournament I ever won was the World Championships in 2017. The biggest thing that people don't understand about pinball is that it's actually, there's no luck in it. It is all skill. The better you get, it's not really about how much better you get, it's about how much of that luck you can cut out. And when you get to the highest levels, it's 98% skill and it's that 2% luck.
Whether you play pinball for fun or for titles, there is one thing that truly keeps this community going.
It's the people, to be honest. Everybody is just very genuine. We all, as I was saying earlier, we all come around to play pinball and have fun, and it's just a great release from all of this chaos that we call life going on around us.
Let's just say it was not a good idea for me to play pinball right after Escher won because I just looked really bad compared to him.
It's a hard act to follow. Yeah. I mean, if I would have known that there was a tournament going on, I might have entered. I could have played pretty well.
The winner did get $500, so.
Ooh. I might have been beaten pretty bad. All right, Rams, after one more quick break, we will bring you your favorite segment of CTV Geeks, the one you've been waiting for, Geeks on the Street.
Bye-bye.
Hi. Hoping for a crisp breeze to help keep you alert. Oh, he took a sip of water too. That'll probably help. You were probably going to turn down the radio too, so you could focus, right?
Probably okay isn't okay.
Right?
If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend.
I think the water line is what really drove it home. I blew on him.
Now let's get right in with Geeks on the Streets. With Spider-Man updates flooding our news and social media these last few weeks, it's only fitting to round off our final Geeks on the Street with some fiery Spidey debate. The first question we have, who truly is the best love interest for Peter Parker? MJ or Gwen Stacy?
Who's the better love interest, MJ or Gwen?
Gwen.
Gwen. MJ.
I would say MJ.
Why is that?
One, I like redheads. Two, like, I think she just connects a lot more with Peter Parker than anything else than Gwen Stacy does.
It's MJ, but okay.
Okay. I mean, I don't know. I think MJ's too good for Tom Holland. The Tom Holland.
What? You think Zendaya's too good for Tom Holland?
As, like, their characters.
Okay.
Also in real life. Low-key not as efficient.
That's just a bad take.
Gwen.
MJ.
MJ, bro. Mary Jane, she's the classic, dude.
Yeah.
Okay, so first question, Abby. Thank you for interviewing with us today. Who is a better love interest for Spider-Man, MJ or Gwen? Oh, very interesting, very interesting. When it comes to this question, I'm going to have to go with MJ. MJ's been my favorite, mostly because of the PS4 Spider-Man game.
That's fair, that's fair. Personally, I like Gwen Stacy. I've always been in love with her comic book character, and whenever she was introduced as Spider-Gwen, Gwen all the way.
Spider-Ghost, as her character's called, is awesome, especially in Into the Spider-Verse.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, all is fair in love and war. Well, we've talked about love, and now we got to talk about war. Up next, we asked, who is the best Spider-Man villain of all time? Who is the best Spider-Man villain?
Tom Holland. No.
Doc Ock, in my opinion. And I'm curious to see how that goes in this next movie.
I mean, it's kind of basic, but I would say Doc Ock, because he's the most complex and the coolest. Well, that and Green Goblin is pretty even for me.
I think personally, mine's like Venom or Green Goblin are my two favorites. I think they're the coolest.
The new Venom.
Yeah.
New Venom. I mean, he hasn't been introduced yet, but...
Yeah, Tom Hardy's Venom's great.
Yeah, we kind of like him a lot.
I think Green Goblin's just like iconic. So.
Yeah, especially with the Andrew Garfield
yeah.
Goblin. I loved that.
Doc Ock.
Yeah.
100%. Green Goblin.
No.
And Green Goblin.
Green
Goblin.
Yeah.
He was pretty. Who
Close
played him
second.
in the
Close
Tobey
second.
Maguire one?
Yeah, the new.
It's
William Dafoe.
He was great. I love William Dafoe. He's a great
He's
actor.
pretty good.
He's been around for like ever.
Do you have any ideas?
No comment. I see.
No comment.
I see.
So while a lot of the answers we heard were Doc Ock or Lizard is my favorite, I have to go with Venom. I really love Venom, and also the Venomized comic series is probably one of my favorites. In my opinion, he gives Peter the most run for his money as a villain.
I don't know, he was a little campy in the new movies. I have to go with Vulture. I say he's the most realistic, most well-written, like, down-to-earth guy. It's like, you can relate to him. He's kind of like almost the single dad-esque of like just trying to provide for his family, and he's not, you know, being all goofy and stuff when, you know, he's biting the heads off people.
At least he can bite, at least Venom can bite people's heads off. So, we've talked about villains, we've talked about love interests, but we need to talk about the spider in the room. Our last, most divisive question we have yet. Who had the best Spider-Man portrayal?
Final question, you're ready for this one. Who's the best Spider-Man?
Tom Holland.
It's undisputed Tobey Maguire.
No, Tom Holland is 100% the best Spider-Man ever, and he should stay forever.
No, see, Tom Holland didn't go into emo Spider-Man in Spider-Man 2, right?
I think Tom Holland's doing an excellent job, and I think the reason that I would consider him the best Spider-Man is because of the role that he also plays in the Avengers. So I think the sort of cohesion within all those movies kind of adds to an awesome story. But if you're not considering that, I think Andrew Garfield killed it.
I don't know, I have the nostalgic feeling with Tobey Maguire, but I think if Andrew Garfield's was written a little bit better, he would have been really good. But, I mean, I'm not trying to start a forest fire answering that question.
Start the forest fire.
Me personally, I like Tobey Maguire because he's goofy and he's just kind of a nerd.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, that would be my favorite.
I'd say it's really hard to choose. Tom Holland is definitely the best for this generation, and he suits this generation, the children of this generation. But, I mean,
It's a hard one. I'm going to have to say Tom Holland.
I gotta go Tobey Maguire. Pizza Man.
Well, no matter who's right, well, I am, but no matter who is right, I think a lot of CTV geeks cannot deny that Peter Parker and his many variations are a huge part of being a nerd. And for Lee and I, this show has been a huge part of our nerd lives too. We'd like to thank all of our viewers for tuning in this semester, and we will see you in the spring.
Well, unfortunately, this is my final episode of CTV Geeks. I've had so much fun helping create the show and to bring together the geeky community here in Fort Collins.
Well, Lee, we've loved having you here on the show, and we appreciate how much you've contributed to bringing it to life. Thanks for sticking with us to the end of the line. And with that, that's all the time we have for tonight, Rams. Thanks for tuning in with us this whole semester. Have a great night. Stay classy.